Hello everyone, welcome back to the Modelling Novice. A little bit of a different video today, as you can see. Just a quick one to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. And really just to have a very quick chat about myself and my modelling journey. Now for me, where did it all start? That's a bit of a complex one. I suppose as a kid, all grew up just loving the Railway series, Thomas the Tank Engine as well. Always fascinated by heritage railways. Didn't live that far away from Severn Valley, so seeing it was always a good opportunity. Then also an uncle of mine, he'd actually built a layout himself. It was called Kirkhaven, I think. Really, reasonably large double O layout, good size, really nice. He really spent a lot of time, probably about 10 years, building that thing. In fact, that was his huge passion project, and it was beautiful. I can remember as a kid, whenever we visited, loved going and spending time up there with him, and just sort of watch him set things off. And I think there were about 4 or 5 different loops that he built on this thing. It was one massive oval, and it was just great fun to watch. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2004, which was around about the time where I'd also gotten started. So Christmas 2004, I think, maybe, 2003 or 2004. I got this for Christmas. As many young enthusiasts often do, get a little train set like that. A lot of fun with that over the years. And from there, I picked up a couple more bits as well. I had, over the next couple of years, I was gifted a Flying Scotsman and a couple of teak carriages, a bit more rolling stock, a couple of other things as well. Ended up with a second oval as well, with a few of the track extension packs. Sort of expanded it there. And I really enjoyed playing with that for a few years. Just be nice just to get it out, set up on the bedroom floor, and just watch the trains go around. I could spend hours doing that. Then, sort of mid to late teenage years hit. I started playing music, and this stuff just got shoved into the wardrobe and almost forgotten about, really, which is a bit of a shame, but that kind of happens when you're sort of 15, 16 and the hormones starts kicking in. I'd always sort of had a sort of passing idea and a passing interest at that point then. And it was actually in storage at my nan's for a while. And it had mostly gotten forgotten about. It was still there in the back of my head, maybe one day. But I was so busy with so many other things that I was doing. Didn't really end up happening all that much. So 2016 I then got married, and the following year my wife fell pregnant. So 2018 my son was born, great moment, and of course then family life took over. Things started getting very, very busy for myself. Unfortunately, my nan was so ill, she ended up going into a home, and we had to clear out her house to hand back to the council. At that point, the stuff got handed to me, at which point we were sort of living in the house we are now, although at the time we were still private tenants. So at that point, it had just got left in its boxes, shoved into the corner and forgotten about. Then as my son got older and started to sort of take more notice of things around him, he started getting a bit curious. We also introduced him to a lot of these sort of classic TV shows from childhood. He and my wife both recognised, Thomas the Tank Engine being one of them, Rosie and Jim was another, and he's also obsessed with that. And he really enjoyed it. And also, living vicariously through him, I've taken him for days and experiences on the Severn Valley Railway. So that has been good fun for both of us, and it sort of rekindled my interest. So I started getting out and see how he reacted, and he really started enjoying it. So I thought, perhaps I probably should, think about starting this again. So I was watching more, more channels on YouTube that deal with model railway stuff. We attended a small local show together, just a little one in a little church in Blackheath. 14 exhibitions and 4 trade stands. So not very big at all. But it was great to see all these different layouts, these different ideas, all the stuff that was going on, and of course the technological advancements as well. Because 2000, early mid 2000s, really just the advent of DCC and 00. And I remember seeing the Hornby catalogue, like brand new thing concept of stuff. And at the same time as well, they were also doing something called Live Steam, which very quickly went by the way. So yeah, that was quite interesting to see how things had developed on that front. So after that, I bought a couple of things at that show as well. I think I picked up a Prairie at that and a couple of Great Western coaches. Lima model that was. So I looked around for a few more bargains, for a few more bits and pieces, just because of the fact that the Scotsman and some of the details on it were a bit more finely detailed, and I just didn't want him destroying them accidentally, even though he was 6 by this point. So I picked up a few more bits of rolling stock, a few more locos, all sort of second hand, sort of 80s to noughties kind of era, really. And I've built up a fair amount of collection now. I had a few ideas on what I want to do in terms of builds, but I never really had an idea on what to do. So of course, continuing with the inspiration, looking and whatnot, eventually I plugged up the courage to say, right, I'm going to do something. So I started, formulating a plan in my head, and that's where the idea for Fir Tree Halt came from. Just a little run around layout that he can use for himself, whilst I can have my time with the bigger, more detailed, more delicate bits that he's probably a bit more worried about him breaking. So the idea with this is that he's got a few cheap locos, a few cheap bits of rolling stock that he can enjoy, and sample the hobby from a young age. Of course, not long after that, Hornby re-released their Play Trains range, which by the way, I think was an absolute genius idea. Absolutely fantastic. That's a really good move by Hornby there. But unfortunately, already had made a commitment on this. So I decided to take the plunge. And I've also decided to film myself doing it. So why did I film myself? I don't really know. I don't know why I'm doing this, to be honest. I don't know why I bothered setting up a camera. I suppose in a way, for me, it's on a personal level, it's a record of what I've done, an idea for an achievement, something I can look back on and say, yep, I can do that better. No, I might avoid doing that, or yeah, I'm actually really proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I enjoyed that process. I really look forward to doing that again. So not only a learning curve for me, really, but another thing I suppose as well is that if there are any aspiring modelers out there that have just gotten into the hobby and are really enjoying it and thinking, I want to build something, but I'm not too sure what I want to do, this really sort of gives them the impetus to have a go, take the plunge. I've really enjoyed what I've done so far. Again, using a number of skills I've not used at school, or never at all. In some cases, it's not something that is familiar with to me. I haven't really done any other forms of modelling either, like Airfix, static models, or Warhammer paints or anything like that. I've not done any of that. So yeah, it has been a bit of a learning curve for me. And I hope that has come across. And also, if you are considering doing this, just have a go and don't be afraid of making mistakes. As you've seen so far, I have made a couple of mistakes on this, and it's easy to get bogged down by it, but at the same time, it's also easy to rectify, as long as you have the right attitude and the right idea to it. So that's pretty much it. You know, I mean, it would be nice, of course, if the channel gets big and whatnot, but I'm not really worried about that. It's not what the purpose of this channel was for. You know, if I end up with 20 subscribers by the end of next year, but one of those subscribers is somebody that's gone, thanks Matt, you've given me the impetus to do something. I've built this little shunting layout and I'm very proud of it. And that's all thanks to you. That to me makes me feel like my channel's a success. You know, and even if that doesn't happen, you know, I've at least got a record of me doing something that I can be proud of. Okay, that's all for today's discussion. Thanks very much for watching. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up, and I would appreciate it if you're not subscribed, hitting that subscribe button. If you are a new modeler, I do hope that I've inspired you. If you are an existing modeler, I hope you've had a good laugh at my expense. That's not, isn't it? No. And that's all for today's video. If you have enjoyed it, give us a good thumbs up. If there's anything you want to mention in the comments, please do. I'm always open to suggestions for new videos or anything else on that front. You know, if you want to open a conversation about the scariness of starting, please feel free. Don't be scared to hit the subscribe button as well. It is truly appreciated. If you are a new modeler like me, I hope I am inspiring you to have a go and not worry about making mistakes. If you're a seasoned modeler, I hope you've had a good laugh at my expense and learned a bit more about me. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas to you.